In this video, I will talk about rigging in Maya and I will show you how to quickly create a rig for your character or how to step by step create a rig for the character. So let me first explain what is rigging in Maya or general, like what is rigging in 3D environment. Rigging is the process of creating a skeleton or joints for your mesh, any kind of mesh that you have, and with the skeleton that you created you can basically manipulate your vertices or your mesh with the skeleton that you have. So the reason basically you need to know the knowledge about the rigging, because many of the movement for the parts or just like components, different parts of your component or different part of your character, the animal or any kind of 3D model that you created, sometimes you want to animate it, and in this case you need to use rigging. Basic animation is for the moments that you want to move the whole mesh, but rigging is for the case that you want to manipulate or move different part of your mesh. First of all, you need to choose the rigging menu set from the Maya. The rigging is created from different steps. First of all, you need to create the joint, which is the skeleton, and then you need to have the controls. What I mean by control, it means you never want to basically mess around with your skeleton or with the rig that you created, because if you mess with it you lost all your process of rigging. What you do, you first create your skeleton, you create your rigging, but at the same time, at like the stage after that, you create some controls, so they are gonna have the same attribute as the rig but you won't touch the rig. And then with the controls you can change them, you can manipulate them, and you can create your animation without touching the rigs. Before I go to the step-by-step process of creating rig, I'm gonna show you two quick ways to create the rigging. One is through the quick rig option or the tool that you see here. It's the built-in tool in Maya, and the other one is through Adobe Mixamo, which is external platform from Adobe that you can use it in order to rig your characters. These two tools are really helpful for the human characters or like biped characters, but it's not working for animals. If you want to do the rigging for your animal characters, you need to have the skills of a step-by-step rigging. From the windows, you can go to the general editor and it has the option for content browser. There is an option for the biped, that these are just like some built-in characters. You can choose one of them. I'm gonna like choose maybe this one. By double clicking on it, I will close it. This is the mesh that I have. I will make it smaller. And now if I click on that one, if I click on the mesh and go to the skeleton, it has the option for quick rig, or you can see it like it has the option for quick rig here too, like from the quick rigs basically panel. So I'm gonna like choose it from here, quick rig too. I will click, and it has like one click or step by step. I'm gonna do with the one click. Auto rig, it takes time to process it, and it just like calculate and analyze different part of the body, and it create that rig or a skeleton for you. So now after creating the adding the outer rig, you will see like the skeleton is created, but at the same time you can see the controls here. So basically controls are the curves that we created and we constrained it to the joints. And again, as I told you, you're not supposed to touch the rig or a skeleton. You can just like play around with the curves, which is the control. So now you can see I can easily grab that control and just like make changes and like move my character. So right now, for example, if I select this one and hold shift and like this one, both, yeah, I think now I selected both of them, and now you can see that I move my character. And basically, like for example, if I press S and then I come here like at the frame 50 and just like make some, and it's just like a random movement. And now here another S, you can see if I play it, you can see like I created the basic rig for the character. So this is what you can do in Maya with the automatic rig, which is like pretty easy, straightforward for like biped characters, and it's not challenging. Also, the auto rig has the option to do it step by step instead of doing it like in one click. As you remember, when I click on the quick rig, I chose like one step for rigging. um, you can I will leave that one for you to go and search if you want to do a step by step basically give you the option to manipulate the joints in the rig and have more control over what you're rigging. Okay, which is really important to know about it. But instead of like explaining in step by step like rigging from the auto rig, I'm gonna like do it from the scratch later. So this is one way. The other one, so far we are talking about just about quick ways to rig the characters. Okay, we are not doing anything complicated. So I'm gonna have this character to show you how to work with Adobe Mixam. Um, from the general editor, content browser. Again, I will have this character, make it smaller, I don't want it that big. And so you basically create your character in Maya. This is an example that I'm showing you. Like imagine that I created this character. If you want to use it for Adobe Mixamo, you need to have a file to upload it, like a mesh that you upload it there and you rig it in Adobe Mixamo. So imagine that you made your character. What you need to do, you need to export your file, and you have different options to import it in Adobe Mixamo. One is OBJ and one is FBX. Like both of them are the formats that are supported by Adobe Mixamo. But I want you to know a big difference between two formats, which I assume that you know it at this point. OBJ is basically the basic format that you export your character or your mesh without having any look development or texture. So in this case, if you don't have any texture or any shader for your character, which it won't be, you definitely need to spend time in order to do the look development for your character. In this case, OBJ is not working. So if you have just plain mesh, open it in Mixamo and do the rigging, and later you will do the look development, then you can have the OBJ export. But if you already have a character or a mesh that you did the texturing or like the painting and you added the look development and you want to have it with the texture in Adobe Mixamo, you need to export it as FBX format. And FBX format, not just the normal FBX format, you need to make it FBX 2013, which you do it from the preset. And also it needs to have the embedded media. Okay, so this is really important. You see from the preset it's at 2013, which your current preset for sure. If you don't set it, it's not 2013. And also from the embed media, you need to make it embedded media. So if I cancel it, if I go back to file, export selection, and click on that box, now you have access to have the option for the preset. And you see it says like, okay, which format I want, the FBX, and I want to have it 2013 because yours for sure is not 2013. I may click on the edit preset, and it has the option for the presets that you can look for 2013. Okay, you see, like from the version it has a lot of options. Mine is 2000, my Maya is 2019, so I think by default it was FBX 2019. I changed it, made it 2013. I don't make changes in other options of the preset, except I check the embed media, check mark this part, because by default embed media is not checked as well. So I chose that one and click and check it, and then I can save preset. Okay, and now you have it. And when you want to export your FBX from Maya, you can choose that one. You can define it. I defined it as 2013. Okay, so I don't save preset because I already have it. I go and close it, and next time Maya remembers it. If I go and click on the export selection, it brings up 2013 for me, which it shows it here for me. So I exported this file. I go back to Google and search for Adobe Mixamo. Probably you need to create your own account. I already have it and it's like signed in. So now this is the basic interface of what I have, and probably it's gonna load the last character that I uploaded. Doesn't matter. And you can see that there's just like some samples, some examples that I can just like click on them. You can see it has like different movements for me. So what I do, I go to upload character, and you see it says like FBX, OBJ, or zip file. So I go and choose it from desktop. It says rigging. So what you need to do, you need to basically create the joints. First of all, it says like the orientation. So this is the right orientation for me. And you need to, for every new character, you need to build this one that's like define where is chin, where is wrist, and other part of the body. And if your character is symmetrical, then use symmetry. If not, you can just like uncheck it and put different part of the body in the right place and go to the next step. It just like takes some time for me to analyze it and creates the skeleton. Okay, yeah, it's working. I click next. Now it loads my character, and I can just have like pretty much everything that I want. Okay, so for example, I search for idle. I click on that one and it loaded. And it has the options also here for stance, overdrive. It's up to you, like the speed of your character arm space. You can just like make it more, for example. So the trim option is the one that you can choose, like from which frame to which frame you want it. Like sometimes, for example, this one is from, it says 213 total frame it has, but it just like has I have the range of like 100 frame activated. Okay, but you can have it like completely too, it's up to you. So I go and download it. when I play with these options and if I'm happy with it. So the format, you need to have it FBX, and also you can have it with a skin or without a skin. Without a skin basically creates the skeleton for me, and you later can attach it to your character, which is like another process to skin, skin it to your character. Or you can have it like if you already have the FBX format with the embedded file, then have it with a skin. Frame per second, you can have it like 30, 60 or 24, but later in Maya you can change those frame rates in order to change the speed of your rigging. And also I put like none for the keyframe reduction. I downloaded. One thing that I want you to have it in your mind many times, you have your rigged character from Mitsamo to Maya, and you think like it's frozen, it's not working. I have no answer for the reason. It's just like some sort of bug from the software, but it doesn't mean that your character is not working. The rigging is still there. Maybe you need to just like re-import it, or maybe just like open it like in a new scene. What I'm gonna do, I delete this character. Don't replace it on that one, okay? Also, like you've seen the outliner, there are just like some options. I will get rid of everything. And I go to File, Import. I have this idle character. As you can see, it comes up with like a lot of controls around it, and it has the rigging working. But again, if you see yours is not working, and if you follow the same steps that I tell you, just like close Maya, reopen it, or like open a new scene, like eventually it will work. As you can see, it's working, but it is really fast because the frame rate per second in Maya is not like the speed of the rigging that I want. You can just like, I will make it like 150. You can see like it's slower, much slower. This is the one that it is for your rigging. It shows the controls, the handles. Okay, what I can do, I can just like click edge and hide it, and don't touch it. And then you see still with hiding the controls, this one is working, and I can just like even with W, and it's working. I like it. I don't touch anything in the rigs, okay, in the handles, but still like I can just like make changes, or even like I can make it bigger. Doesn't affect the rig. So the third way of rigging is the basic step-by-step rigging from the scratch. So I'm gonna show you this way because first of all, not all of the mesh that you want to rig it, it's not character biped character. Sometimes you have animal or something else, and it's gonna be more confusing for you. So I go ahead and I create a cylinder. It's really important that you add the subdivision for it, otherwise like your basically bending or rigging that I want to show you, it's not working. Okay, this is the basic example. In general, when you have a more complex shape, you definitely have enough subdivision. So I'm gonna like add more subdivision for the eye. It doesn't matter, just like add a little bit. And what I do before I start rigging, I make sure that freeze the transformation. So basically by freezing the transformation, you make like these values here 0. So if I, and this is the quick access to it, which is under poly modeling. So if I click on the freeze transformation, you will see these values being reset to 0. Now I wanna like rig this one. I'm gonna like create the skeleton for this one. First thing is that never do it based on the perspective view. Try to like move to another, like your side or front view. Make sure you do it in one of these, and then like check it if it is like distance from the object, then you can like move it. So I will go to the front view. It's really important also go to the view and check on the x-ray from the shading. Check on the x-ray joints. It's really important because you want to see your joint inside the mesh that you created. And also don't forget to have your joint inside, don't go outside your mesh. So right now if I go to rigging, even you can see it from the shelf here, there is one option to create joints, or you can go to the skeleton, create joints, and also make sure to reset the tool for the first time that you use it. What I do, I can create joints, and as you can see, if it is like more gap between that joint and the other one, it's gonna be the longer, you see. But I do Control Z, doesn't matter right now. And also, another important thing is the size of your joint. Okay, basically um, if I go here, I have the option for the radius of the joint, so I can just like make it, for example, 2. You can see the radius of the joint every time, like it's become bigger. Okay. And it's really important to understand joint is working based on the parenting and child format. So it's really important to think like the first joint that you created, it's gonna be your root joint, which is the parent of all joints that you created. And it's gonna affect all other joints when you move it, okay? So in this case, I'm gonna like start it from this, from the bottom part, which is gonna, I will have the parent or base joint or the root joint. So I'm gonna click here once and then hold shift. You might want to hold shift or you don't want, it's up to you. I'm gonna hold shift in order to make it a straight. And right now I have this one. Also, for the joints, the orientation of the joint is really important. It's really important that if I go back here, because I created a joint, it's really important the x axis, which is like the red, you see it here from the viewport, the x-axis point toward the child. If it is not pointing toward the child, it means this is not oriented and it's not working. For the last joint, not the root joint, for the last child or joint, it really doesn't matter because there is nothing else. But in general, if you create joints and if you think these are not oriented, you can have your joints selected, and if you go to the skeleton, you can have the orient joints. Click on the orient joints and make it all oriented based on the, for example, x-axis, which is really important. So see, if I select this one, it's just like itself selected. But if I select this joint, you see everything is selected. Or if I select this joint, you see everything toward the upper part is selected. Why? Because of the same concept that I explained it. As you can see, if I open in these subcategories, you will see like the joint 5 is the child of the joint 4, 4 is the child of 3, 3 is child of 2, and 2 is child of 1. Basically everything is child of the joint 1. Okay, and at this point, before I continue, it's really important that you rename them and like be organized when you are doing your rigging. So what I do, I select this one, the root, and I go to edit, and should be an option for, no, modify, not edit, modify, and it has the search and replace names. We will see this option. So basically you search for this one, I selected, it's joined. If it is not selected, you can just like find it here from the outliner. So it's joined and I want to like replace it with, for example, join, you know, in this part mm, it's gonna be really similar. I'm gonna like make it like rig joint. Okay, and I replace it, and everything you will see it's like rig join 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so when you create your joint, you need to bind it to the mesh, and in this case you need to use that function that is called bind skin, which is here from under the skin. You need to select all your joints, but in order to select it, you need to hold shift and select all of these layers, not just selecting the first layer, which is the parent. You need to hold shift and basically select all of them, and then hold shift and select the mesh, and now you go to the skin, bind the skin. So as you can see, right now, let's test and see if the binding is working. I see the rainbow, it means it is working, it is fine. If you don't see the rainbow, it means like your skeleton is not connected to the skin and or to your mesh. So right now, if I select like one of these joints, and for example, if I rotate it, let's see. Yeah, you see, I'm able to rotate it and it's working. So I do Command Z. Now I'm sure the joints are working, but as I mentioned, so you're not gonna touch joints in order to move vertices. Instead, we are gonna create some controls and we constrain them to the joints, make it like a child of a joint, and it's gonna get the same attribute. So in order to do that, let's again rename these joints. I select the first one, I go to the modify, search and replace names, and all the joint I'm gonna replace it with rig joints. Replace, and everything is working perfectly. Okay, now I'm gonna create some curves. I'm gonna like create these round or circular curves. So what I do, I need to make sure it's like bigger than the size of the mesh. Right now, if I select this one, make it bigger, and maybe I can just like check it from the perspective view, and I hold the pivot and hold V, and I need to make sure that I snap it to the joints that I want. You see, if I hold V, it's a snap, and I snap it to the center of the joint. I make it a little bit smaller, and with Command D, I make another one. Again, hold V, snap the pivot to the next one. Make it look a little bit smaller too. And again, Control D, hold V, snap it to this one. Again, Control D, hold V, snap to the other one, make it a little bit smaller. And Control D or Command D. Basically, I'm creating a duplicate. Hold V and snap it to this one. So right now I created curves for every single basically joint, and all of them, the pivot is center or snap to the center of the joint. But I need to make the child and parent for these as well based on the same border of the rig. So what I'm gonna do in order to make the child and parent, so this one needs to be the root because this joint was the root too. This one needs to be the child of the root. So 2, it means should be child of the circle 1. So in order to do that, you first select the child, hold shift, select the parent, which is circle 1, and press P. Now if I click, it means like this one, yeah, NURB circle 1, it's parent of these two. When I select it, both of them is selected. But when I select 2, only select 2, not this one, not the first one. So I open it and I see both of them, these two, should be child parent of the other one. So I'm gonna select number 3 and I hold shift, select number 2, which is already child of number 1, press P, and now I see that 3 is child of 2. Let's see. If I select 2, is selecting 2 and 3, but not selecting 1. And if I select 1, select all of them. Same thing. I'm gonna do just child and parent. This one for hold shift for 3 and P, and again open it, 5, shift 4 and P, and open it. So now the order is based on the same order of the joints. So what I'm gonna do, I rename it because these are controls. Select the first one, go to modify, search and replace. So I'm not searching for joint, I'm searching for NURB circle. I search it and search it like exactly the same name. The number, it doesn't matter, it's important to put like NURB circle. And now I replace it with controls. Next step that I need to just like add the constraint. So at this point you need to make sure again to freeze the transformation. So I come back to the polymodeling, I freeze the transformation and also delete the history. So I'm gonna delete the history, click on it, and I just chose the root one. Delete the history and also freeze transformation. So what I'm gonna do, I need to create a constraint, and I consider these controllers like the child of these rigs. So what I'm gonna do, based on the same order, I choose the control 1, which is the root for this one, and I select the rig joint 1 2. So I go to the constraint and parent. So now you can see it creates something like a chain here, which is like this is what you want. Okay, so again, control 2, oh no, not like this, and then join 2, constraint parent. I'm gonna repeat it for every single one, and I need to have like the same number of these chains similar to the same number of these like parents and childs. And the last one, now you can see I have exactly 5. So what is happening, basically if I select this and I move it, you see it's working. I make changes in the mesh but without selecting the rig. The last part is cleaning up this from the outliner. So what is really important, we don't want to touch this. Okay, so I'm gonna like do the command G and create a group from this one, and like this is joints that we are not supposed to touch it. Okay, so you can hide it with like pressing H and steel. You can work with the controls, but you can just like you don't see the joint, which is like the skeleton inside the mesh. And also if you're not sure that if you're touch it or not, you can also select it and like select all the options for this one basically, and from the channel box right click on it and like select it. So in this case, even if you want to like change, for example, from the join to change some values, you're not able to do that until you unlock it. So right now I have my controls and I can just like make changes based on the controls that I have. So this is like pretty much the basic of the rigging, but now you can like take one more step and like have this one instead of like this simple cylinder, just have it like on a real mesh, which is like a character or animal. Also, there is a function when you create your joints, I mean not before creating the controls, okay, before all these steps, when you create your joints, there is an option, it's good to know about it, which is like mirror joints. Okay, so this is for the symmetrical meshes that you have. In this case, it's really important. For example, if you do for like any biped characters or like for animals, you don't need to do for both sides. You only can do like the rigging on one side and then use the mirror function to create a joint, similar joint for the other side. And also I want you to keep it in your mind whenever you create joints or rig, you basically you can make changes, you can rotate them, you can move them, like move them to the view or move them to the part of the mesh that you're happy with it and you think like it's working. And also think about the concept of the skeleton or bones in a way that the like human body or like the animal body works. For example, you never start the root of the skeleton from the finger. Finger is the last part that you do the basically at the skeleton. You will start it from the, for example, the belly, like the center of the body, and then just you spread your skeleton to the other part of the body. I'm gonna share some tutorial with you, then you will understand better how to do rigging in a more advanced way. And also one other thing that it is good to know, it's about paint weights. This is for the cases that sometimes you start to like rig some part of your character, but you will see it influences other part of the character. For example, you do like one leg, but you will see it influence the other leg too. So in this case, you need to work with the paint weight in order to decrease the weight of the influence to just one single foot instead of like 2 foots. If you face this issue, I will definitely share a tutorial with you. Take a look at it and use that one as a reference for painting weights.